A South African official complains that South Africans are not registering themselves. What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you very much. I know you're watching my top. It looks good. I know. I feel you too. Man's gotta look good. Looking good ain't just a woman thing. Anyway, let's get on track. My name is Zack. I don't know who you are, but if you watch this video till the end, we are certainly going to love each other. Unless you're South Africans, because today we are coming for you again. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go. A South African government official is complaining. She's saying this. Many South Africans complained about foreigners registering companies, owning all these Spaza shops. But now they've given them an opportunity to come register. They are not coming.
The recent registration process initiated for the compliance purposes revealed a concerning decline in participation and adherence. Out of a total of 1,800 applications received, nearly 400 individuals completed the application processes. From this subset of 400 applicants, only one individual was identified as a South African.
The story is very simple. I'm not going to dive into many things. There was a little moment here, I think you remember all, where Spaza shops were being fought for in South Africa. What are Spaza shops? Spaza shops are known as tax shops. They originated from a part of the area. These are spaces where many Africans went to buy foods because South Africans, black people, could not open big shops. Therefore, they had to find alternatives to create markets, sell bread, sell some soap, sell some toothpaste and stuff like that. They were called Spaza shops. So as you can understand, Spaza shops are certainly things you see in your neighborhood if you're African. Okay, we all have corners where there's a little shop where they sell Coca-Cola, sometimes fake Coca-Cola. I'm just saying. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. Not fake Coca-Cola. They will sell you a little piece of bread, a little cake, a little fit cook. What do you call it? In South Africa, they call it magwinya. They call it beignet in some countries. They call it bofrot in Ghana. We're all the same Africans. So these are just variants of the same food we eat. I mean, Africans are very similar. We all eat what they call fufu. This is fufu. In South Africa, it's called pap. In Uganda, it's called what? It's called posho, kahunga. You know what I mean? So it's the same. Ugali in Kenya, it's the same thing people eat every day, but you want to fight each other for stupid things. Let's get back on track. Anyway, now what's happening is in South Africa some time back, many black South Africans went down the street asking for foreigners to close their shops. Close Spaza shops, because the Spaza shops industry was quite much, sort of run by many foreigners. Why did they do that? They did that because there was events of children being unalived. So they had the genuine reason to do that. Many kids being unalived. Why? Because apparently some kids went to buy food from these Spaza shops. What kind of food? Like a little snack, little cake, little piece of chocolate or something. Now, apparently some of the kids that ate whatever snack they bought from these Spaza shops were later in a very bad state, then unalived, because something was poisonous in the food. After investigation was done, they finally found out there was a substance that was the cause of this unaliving of children. And this substance is usually used for agricultural purpose. Many people informally use that substance as a rat killer and all these other little cockroaches killer. You put it in your space, they kill cockroaches and rats. Now, because your food is in proximity to that substance, obviously it's poisoned. Now, many South Africans came down the street saying they need to close these shops. President Cyril Ramaphosa had to intervene, to say something because things were going wild. President Cyril Ramaphosa said everybody should go and register their business, because you're talking about illegal immigrants who own unregistered businesses are the one producing fake foods that are unaliving children. That makes sense as a claim. But from now on, we want all of you to go get registered.
We have decided that we want Spaza shops that are operating in our townships, in our rural areas, must be registered.
Once you get registered, we can then send our people to double check your work to see the quality of the stuff that you're selling. So it makes sense, right? Now, after they ask people to go register, many of the foreigners went to register as well. Unfortunately for some of them, they were stopped in the street, stopped at the door of the registration, said, you cannot come here and register because this is number one, our country. Number two, we want to take back the Spaza shop business because we are South Africans and you're not. Okay.
We are here at UBC to stop foreigners not to register, especially in our South Africa, because they are oppressing our own business people. They then again killing our children. That's why we are here. We don't want them to register. We want them to go and tell Ramaphosa we don't want them to register, and we will continue. I'm stopping them to enter there.
Initially, it was okay because some kids have been unalived by some shops. We're going to get everybody registered. Okay, so the kids were unalived, whether let's say there were 10 kids, or even 20, or even 50.
I hate foreigners, and the government is doing nothing. Our kids have turned into zombies. It's all because of them.
Now, are you telling me those 50 kids were unalive by all these 100 shops? No. You need to find, logically, the 50 shops that have unalived children. Because out of the 100, if there are 100 shops belonging to foreigners, I'm sure there are some that are genuine. They are decent, they are legal, they have all the papers, and they have never unalived anybody.
You cannot punish 95% for 5% people. So there is some undocumented people. So you cannot punish me for those guys who don't have papers. I have my legal papers.
Don't they deserve to have a life just because some other Joe ban unalive some children through things that are fake? I don't think so. You punish somebody based on what they do, not based on what somebody else did. I mean, there's no difference between that white man coming and say, we need to search everybody. Why? Because you're black. What do you mean? Yeah, because black people steal and some black people stole in the past. Doesn't make sense. You say it's racism, right? Okay. Now, isn't it xenophobic if you say no because all the foreigners are illegal, don't even check anymore, you want to bar everybody at the door? There's no difference to that. When you get to a space, you see a white woman in a car. When you're coming next to her, she wants the window up. You see that quite a lot. I remember when I went to South Africa, crossing the road, I see a white woman want the window up. I felt offended. But then I asked the question, why? Because obviously they said most of the crime done in South Africa are done by black people. When we talk about crimes such as, car robbery, whatever, stabbing and stuff like that. So was she right to wind up the window? Well, maybe not, because I'm not a killer, but should she have wound up the window because I'm black? And she had the experience that many black people do that. Well, I can understand where she comes from. But is it okay? Is it normal? It's not normal. You cannot put everybody in the same box because that's need healing. It's the same thing. Now, the problem we have here is what? Government said everybody go get registered. You own a business, must show that you're legal, must show that you're compliant, must show this and that. You must bring money, obviously. You need to present money for you to own a business because we're not going to close all these shops so you can come be a shopper man and sell nothing because you have no money. Because then people are going to suffer. What happened next? What happened next, according to reports, is out of thousands of registration in some areas, there was only one South African native person that went to register. There's limited application so far from South Africans who said, we don't want foreigners anymore, we're going to take over.
We agree with the mayor that from here we are going to town where these goods are bought. We want those wholesalers to close. We are not interested in checking expired dates, but these people out. We no longer want them in our community because we are tired of them.
The foreigners have left. Now nobody's registering for company. The city of Johannesburg says roughly 5,000 application forms have been sent to business owners. So they've sent 5,000 application forms within the frame of 21-day period. They need to return the application. None have been returned for formal registration. 5,000 applications have been sent to mostly black South Africans to come register because they want the Spaza shop business back to the community. And none have been returned. Why? Because the assumption is that none are in possession of the lawful zoning, environmental and health and fire safety certificate required. So, in other words, even the black South Africans are not compliant. They're also lacking some things. I mean, as much as you can say illegal immigrants don't have this and that, so you also don't have everything. You know what I mean? In some area, you could hear probably the audio you heard earlier. We're going to put it again, where they're officially saying we sent many registration. And out of people that have come to register, it was only one South African. of birth.
Out of a total of 1,800 applications received, merely 400 individuals completed the application processes. From this subset of 400 applicants, only one individual was identified as a South African.
The question that emerges here, okay, was this out of spite? Maybe one would ask. Was this out of jealousy? No, I'm just not happy that you coming into my country and you making money. Therefore, even though there's an opportunity for you to register, to be legal, to do things correctly, we don't want you to do that anymore. Let's just us do it. Not you, we're going to do it.
Instead of the president is taking a decisive action and implementing it, he took a wrong decision to say foreigners must be allowed to register businesses. These jobs, these shops must be reserved to be run and operated by South Africa, as is the local economy, it's our livelihood.
Then when they find themselves in front of a situation where they need to bring papers, registration, and funding, they don't have it finally. Now, this is what people are saying. They're saying South African black people are not only waiting for government to close foreigners' companies, they're also expecting government to give them money so they can start business. And that is crazy. Listen to this guy.
Afternoon, South Africans. I'm MPL Emamore. I'm here in Rand West to actually talk about these Spaza shops issues, to actually also request our government to support our own people. When the Pakistan, Ethiopian, Somalian shops are fully stocked, we struggle. Rona South Africans. Remember, we pay the tax. Remember, we pay for lights. Remember, we pay for water. They don't pay for either. You know, they are not registered tax-wise.
As you can see, this man is accompanied by somebody and he's complaining, saying his shop is empty. Foreign people's shops are very full. How come my shop is empty? Government needs to do something about it. I mean, I'm local. I should have a lot of things in my shop. I should have bread and milk and everything. Well, the question is, the government was not helping those foreigners. And I'm not talking about the illegal ones, the bad ones, the ones that's selling bad things, because there are some of them. Surely, those ones should be put in jail. What about the good ones, the one that came, honestly, that's been servicing the community for 20 years? I mean, if you've had a guy in your neighborhood for 20 years that sells food and many other things, surely he's a nice person and nobody has been unalive, or else you will be talking about it. Or at least avoiding his shop, because if you avoid his shop, he's gonna lose customers and have no money, no return, because he has to pay rent. He doesn't own land. So there is a South African man who's getting rent from this person and sending his children to school. There are certainly taxi drivers that are moving left and right and getting money from these people. So it's moving the economy in some ways, not counting the fact that you're buying bread from him perhaps. So what I'm saying is this. This man is complaining, saying government should give him money. Now, the problem is this. Fellas, let me just be honest with you. I don't know an African country, a black country in Africa, where government gives people money. So South Africa is very privileged because people get what they call grant. Grant is some sort of a money that they give you because you maybe an elderly person, cannot work, retirement, or not necessarily because you work for government, because countries that give you some sort of retirement fund in Africa are countries where you worked for government, then you retired, then the government gives you retirement fund. We're talking here about elderly people who have no jobs, have never maybe worked like that. They get money. We're talking here some ladies who have had babies with no fathers. I don't know, you have baby with no father, but yeah, it's very common in Southern Africa. I see where women just get pregnant. I don't know how the pregnancy get inside. Anyway, the men are very absent. Those ladies get some sort of money from the government per child. I mean, I don't know how that will discourage you from making babies if you're getting money from government for each baby. Anyway, none of African countries do get that. So it's a privilege. South Africa is one privileged country where they build you houses. There's free housing for people. They will build a house for you. They call it RDP houses. These are houses for black people. Okay, you can go and complain. I mean, suffering. I never knew my father. My mom was a domestic worker, so I need a house. Oh, okay, we're gonna fund your house. It's nice. It's very nice. But there's a problem for that. The problem to that, it kills the mentality of hustlers. That's the difference between, some African countries. They have no grants. There's no RDP house. There's no government giving you this and that. So they have to find ways to survive. It's like dogs. You take a dog that grew up with a mom and a dog that grew up in the street. They're very different. I perceive Africans, many people do, from other sides of Africa, as dogs that grew up in the streets. What's the difference? The dog that grows up next to its mom, if you look at them, compared to the dog that was taken away from the mom, the difference, the dogs that grew up with the mom usually is very good looking, nice body, good, healthy, whatever, but not very streetwise. So doesn't really know how to go about getting things by himself. He can only wait for mom to give him milk or for the owner to give him food. Now, the dog from the street knows how to hustle. The dog from the street knows how to go into the neighborhood and find something here, something there, and he knows how to fight. He's probably fought against cat. He's probably fought against rat. So he knows how to defend himself. So the difference is, in South Africa, people look for jobs because that's the setup. It was the white man create the job, the black man apply for the job and get an opportunity and make a salary end of the month and takes back home, which is a good thing. But in the rest of Africa, what happens is, because there aren't that much job beside government job, people learn how to hustle. They learn how to be independent, how to create, how to push things forward. You gotta bring beans back home for the children. That's the difference in mentality. Now, are we seeing a situation here where people think they want to achieve something until they are faced with the card, then the motivation they had initially vanishes and disappears? Because somebody was commenting saying, you cannot want the shop and want government to give you money for the shop. Nobody does that, okay? You cannot want these guys to leave, then you don't replace them appropriately. That is a failure. Some people say this was a great opportunity for companies like ShopRite and Pick n Pay, which are big companies that belong to white people, to take over the Spaza shop area. Meaning, so the big corporate can create mayhem between the little black people, fight each other, so they can say, okay, these ones are poisoning your children, kick them away, get these foreigners away, so we can come and take over this business. Because this business in the neighborhood produces billions of dollars every year. So they want a cut from that big pizza. Meanwhile, you fighting each other. Oh, you're a foreigner. You don't look at me. Or you have a square head. This is what they call Nigerians. Nigerians have a square head. That's crazy. South Africans think Nigerians have a square head. Nigerians think South African men look like African men back in the 1960s. Like, it's just weird. Anyway, let me know how you feel about this. This is crazy, but we love it. Thank you very much. We want to talk about Cyril Ramaphosa some more, but I think we're going to do this later. There's another thing very interesting before we leave. I know this is long. President Cyril Ramaphosa said a couple of days ago that Nigerians can come to the country and get a visa, easy visa, no passport. They can just, apply whatever without a passport and they get a 5-year visa.
Tourists from Nigeria are now able to apply for a visa without even submitting a passport.
Initially, many people thought it was all Nigerians. Then later on, they discovered that it was more business people, targeting business people.
Our efforts to create a favorable environment include our simplified visa process for Nigerian business people to travel to South Africa. Qualifying Nigerian business people can be granted a 5-year multiple entry visa.
What's interesting here is that Mr. Ramaphosa was bashed. Many people were very angry at him. Why Mr. President can do this? He's not my president. He's not. Now, this is what's interesting. Mr. Ramaphosa said he want to see Nigerian product on the shelf selling. Now, what Nigerian product will be selling on the shelf in South Africa? It's very interesting. Now, fellas, something very interesting that you need to know. Jonathan Opmeyer, the son of South African billionaire Nicky Opmeyer, has acquired majority stake in Nigeria's biggest beverage can manufacturer, Jay-Z. So, one of the richest men in Africa, son, has acquired a Nigerian companies such as Coca-Cola and many other companies. Opmeyer bought 37.5% stake of GZI, and initially he had 62.5% of stakes. So this is basically just a Nigerian company. I know many Nigerians went ballistic saying, yeah, South Africa needs Nigerians and stuff like that. No, hold on a second. This man, who's a son of a South African very, very rich man, owns this company now that belongs to Nigeria. Could this be the reason why Cyril Ramaphosa was emphasizing on things on the shelf that comes from Nigeria? Let me know how you feel about this. I know you didn't see that. They didn't talk to you about that. No fighting. Don't fight each other. God bless.